25 people in the workshop.
How many people?
The class is probably 30.
Oh, 30.
Yeah.
This is what is classically described as a dumpster fire. Alright, here's what's going to happen, everybody. You're going to see what good coaching looks like. This is contrast. This is a visual representation of good versus bad coaching. Obviously, I'm the good coaching, Jay's the bad coaching. But this actually will be a challenge. And remind me if I forget, Nate, I would like to do a recap after this to figure out what we would have done differently, because there's a couple things we don't know. We're probably going to change the workout because we have no idea how many athletes are coming. It's probably going to exceed the amount of equipment that we have. So we will be making some on-the-fly changes, but we are not going to sacrifice coaching as we work through this. So yeah, we'll talk about it afterwards.
Brad, Ryan, bring everybody down here. Let's let everybody bring it in, even close. Hey, get uncomfortably close. Perfect, there we go. I get more comfortable the closer you get though. But we got a great workout for you today. 10 rounds, have you guys seen this already? No, some of you have, some of you haven't. 1 minute on, 2 minutes off.
Don't freak out. We gotta maintain our composure. Nobody freak out.
Nobody freak out! 3 heavy deadlifts, 315 for the ladies, 205 for the men.
Okay, so the second thing we need to do now is we need to figure out how many groups there are, because I think there's 33 to 34 of you.
It's about time. You ladies want chivalry, except when it comes to the barbell, right? So let's switch it up today. No, we'll go 315 for the men, 205 for the ladies.
With your group, I need you guys to pick a piece of cardio equipment. It does not matter if it is the bike.
That should take you 15 seconds or less, and then you are crushing your soul on the bike.
There's 10 bikes, there's 5 ski ergs, and there's 3 rollers.
It's with me that bike and wall ball needs to be modified for people under 5'4". Please put your hand up. Thank you very much. Here's how it's going to work. There's many of you and about 10 bikes. So there's going to be about 3 of you. If there's more people than 3 per bike, all good. We've got ergs, we've got rowers, and we've always got room for burpees.
I need you to pick the second athlete, so you're probably the second best looking person in the group. Grab a moderate to light, either kettlebell or dumbbell, it doesn't matter, but just one per group.
It's all about let's have some fun with some strangers. Let's have a really great hour today. Maybe even
the best hour of
the best hour of your day.
This is what is classically described as a dumpster fire.
Any injuries, limitations that Fern and I should be aware of, especially with deadlifting and bike? By the windows.
Over there.
I know most of you have mental limitations when it comes to the bike, but I'm talking physical limitations.
Real quick, I want to cover some basics on setup for the bike. Seat height. Seat height should roughly put you in a bent knee when the pedal is at 6 o'clock.
No?
If you need to make an adjustment on the seat travel forward or backward, if you put the handles parallel like that, you should be able to sit upright with a slight bend in your elbow.
We good on that?
For this ski erg, the distance you should be set up for the ski erg is about an arm's length away from the ski erg. For most people, that's going to be ball of your foot, right where the end of those rails are.
So Fern's going to run you through a fantastic warm-up.
Here's what we're going to do. We're going to do a little bit of the talking warm-up. So I've got one person on the piece of cardio equipment. I've got another person on the kettlebell or dumbbell. And then if you're the third athlete, I'm just going to have you move to the middle of the room and just make a line right here down the middle.
We're going to have some fun, get you hot.
Do not go full send. It means you should be able to talk to somebody.
Sweaty.
We're going to be moving about 60 seconds each, and then we're going to rotate.
Raise that heart rate.
I don't care what the score is, but there's going to be a winner.
Get you all mentally prepared.
Start right now. Go ahead.
For this devastation of fun.
Moving. You guys are working.
Guys, he's winning the warm-up right now. He's winning the warm-up. He's going to win it.
I taught Jason everything he knows about cutting a promo while coaching a class. See, I like to think that the best hour of the day is telling people, hey, it's time to warm up, get ready, and have a great workout. And that's what Jason and the rest of the best hour of the day do. They really get you pumped and motivated, and especially with a bomb-ass playlist like 80s CrossFit Hair Rock.
Yeah!
I mean, I have no hair, but that's besides the point.
This is one of our OGs right here. This is an OG shirt.
If you're on the cardio equipment, speed it up a little bit. Bring it up about 10, 15
happens, you know? We've been around long enough. You got the old school. You got to take care of the old fans.
I'm going to hand it off to you after this, and we're going to go into the deadlift.
Rotate, last one.
I'm going.
Okay, here's what I'd like you to do real quick. Please take either your kettlebell or your dumbbell and put it back where you found it real quick, and then we're gonna make 2 long lines down the center.
Let's get one person from each group grabbing a barbell and stand. Nice, Hanasan. One more time, flagpole, rotate. One person from each group grabbing 2 very light bumper plates. One more time, mid-shin. And stand. It should be a heavy triple. We shouldn't be peeing our pants. Lift your chest up as hard as possible. Ready, stand. And one person from each group grabbing a set of collars.
You have to make an adjustment
One
on the
more
fly.
time. Ready, go. A lot. There's a lot of bars on the floor. That's the accurate number. We're doing 10 rounds. You're doing 30 reps at this weight. Think about it from that perspective. We've got 4 minutes to work up to your heavy weight.
18 barbells on the floor, 54.
That's right. Show us your shirt and stand. Next time, I want you to drop your butt a little bit. Okay. Down, rotate. Try to put your barbell near your bike rower or erg, please.
Once you're good, arch your weights off the floor, collars on the bar.
At 3, 2, 1, chime in with us. 3, 2, 1, rotate every time.
Taking knees.
One thing to remember with all of this, there's the athletes out there competing, and there's us that do CrossFit to live a happier, healthier lives.
3, 2, 1, go!
This is controlled chaos. This is absolute controlled chaos.
That was about the most energy I've expended in an hour in quite some time. Let's do a little bit of a recap. During the video, the viewers saw you said, "Hey, we're going to recap it." So let's talk about what happened during that hour. Maybe some things we could have done better in retrospect. But let's be clear. As you saw in the video, we had no idea how many people were showing up. Not only do we have no idea how many people were showing up, we didn't know who those people were.
There's a pervasive idea going around the CrossFit community right now. And I'm not saying it's a bad idea. I think it's a misplaced idea. Okay. And this idea of capping your classes.
Okay.
And this is a perfect example of most gyms are not going to have 54 people in their class, right? So I'm not suggesting that's going to happen. But if you did, or you had the ability to grow your facility to 54 people per class, I would recommend that you let that happen and figure out how to coach classes inside of those constraints. But I really want people to, and I want to state why I think this is important, because like a lot of CrossFit gyms are not doing as well as they should financially, and at the same time arbitrarily capping their classes, and creating this operational capacity number and limiting themselves for no particular reason, when there's numerous ways to solve that, and figuring out how to solve for that. Because the actual solution should be, whatever your square footage is, pack it to the brim and then add more classes, and then pack it to the brim again and then add more classes, and then pack it to the brim again and then add more classes. And for the record, that number is not 12. That number that you're capping is not 12, right? Now, I will also state, having coached that class and then you guys seeing the video, that is less than ideal, right? But what we've demonstrated, this is an
Oh,
extreme
was it?
version.
I don't know that that was less than
Listen,
ideal. I thought we did a
the
pretty
energy
freaking
was
good
high.
job.
The energy was high. Like, and even with a, two people that have been doing this a while, like you'd be hard pressed to convince me that like the coaching wasn't degraded once we passed 40 people in the class, right? Like there's 54 people and two of us. And was it fun? Absolutely. Did people did they have a good test of fitness? For sure. Was this an experienced group of box owners that we have the ability to do that with, and we have the luxury of being able to forfeit a little bit of that? Absolutely. But that's not always the case. So the context here matters. But the point that I'm trying to make now is you can have packed classes and it's okay, and you can still run something that is effective and safe and fun. There's just more thought that you might need to go into it, and you might not be able to do snatches, and that's fine.
Well, and to that point, if somebody would have said, "Hey, we're going to run a 54-person class in this space," what would you say? That was maybe 1,200 square feet?
No, it was probably closer to 2,000, like usable, maybe a little bit under that. But the point is like, I would have said, no, you can't do
Right.
this.
We would have been like, we cannot physically make that happen.
Right.
And that's where a lot of the time you and I speak to affiliate owners. We're like, programming is not done just because you paid Mayhem or
Correct.
Cap or somebody else. You need to look at the programming and make sure not only does it fit your members' needs as far as their ability level, but also whether, running a 5K in January, in the Northeast might not be ideal, but then also just saying, well, hey, this is 10 rounds and there's deadlifts and there's assault or echo bike sprints. What can we do to accommodate more people? Well, we can partner people up. We can triple people up, right? So there was quite a few options there as far as how can we accommodate more people. And by the way, keep it safe, because by essentially tripling people up, we took a 54-person class and basically made it an 18-person class per round.
Right. And there was a little bit of, there were some moments there that seemed a little disorganized, which is not even weird because we had no idea how many people were showing up. We had to change.
Nor how much equipment we had, for the record. We didn't know how many bikes.
And we made multiple changes on the workout on the fly. Right. So, but the point is like, I want everybody to watch this. And this is an example of like, if you are turning people away in your classes, or you have this cap where you have a waiting list, stop doing that. Let those people in class and solve the fucking problem. Right. It's just, it's not appropriate based on where you're probably at in business. Like, you're not SoulCycle. You're not these other companies that have like massive amounts of revenue. And a lot of them don't even have massive amounts of revenue. They're actually losing money. The point is like, figure out how to solve that problem in another way. And because ultimately, I think this is how you grow as a coach. I think a lot of the experiences that I have gained over the years, from a programming standpoint, from a logistics standpoint, from a group management standpoint, are a direct result of putting myself in those circumstances to do that real-time problem solving. And now that class didn't freak me out. I'm like, this is a lot. We can do it. And I'm recognized that it wouldn't be ideal based on square footage and equipment and all that stuff. But like, make no mistake, I was not unsure about our ability to deliver a good class.
Yeah. And I don't think anyone left there feeling like they didn't get quite a few touch points from us, right? Whether it was cues or just connecting with them. By the way, Nate commented it was 2,200 square feet. So even if you would have told me it's 2,200 square feet, I would have said, 30 would have been tight. Meanwhile, we basically doubled that. And by the way, we doubled it. Yeah. And doing that on a day where the assault bike and rowers and ergs were all out, because that was part of the workout. If I had that space and knew I was going to accommodate nearly 60 people, I would have pushed all that type of stuff off the floor to have more floor space. But that wasn't an option there. In addition to that, as you saw in the video, not only did we not know how many people were coming, but they just kind of kept coming. So we were having to make a lot of changes on the fly, where if you're going to have a busy class and you're not going to cap, at least you can require members to sign up. So, an hour, 2 hours, even the night before, you can take a look at it and say, okay, I know I'm going to have 60 people tomorrow. I know this is the workout. What are some of the changes I can make to make this class a little more efficient, productive, and safe.
Yeah, and this is kind of my whole point, which is it's not that hard of a problem to solve, is where I'm kind of going with this. Like, particularly if you've come into the class with a plan and then you have at least some idea of who's showing up, like you should be pretty well over the target. Like if you missed completely, my contention is that you showed up completely unprepared. Like you didn't do a lesson plan. You hadn't evaluated anything that would resemble kind of this +1 method, which is like, if one more athlete shows up and have a piece of equipment, what would I do? And then you didn't look at who signed in for the class. Like that's not a capacity problem. That's a laziness problem. And again, if your affiliate's fine and you're turning away members and you're paying all the staff whatever you want, then fine, turn this video off and stop watching. But if you're not, keep listening, because there's some serious takeaways here, which is level up your coaching, and it can be done, right? So I don't want you to think by the way, you're not going to do this without like messing it up. Like you will mess this up. This is like the technique and intensity lecture. Like it's a part of the process. You have to stretch yourself from a coaching standpoint. You have to stretch yourself from a capacity standpoint in order to learn how to do this well. And if you want to become a better coach, you need to go through that. You need to let those extra 5 people in, and you need to solve that problem. And you'll be off. You'll be like, I stagger started. I should have done 2 minutes and I did a minute. I should have set up, I shouldn't have filled all the rowers. I should have done this in 3 waves instead of 2. I could come up with any number of scenarios in which I have messed up all of those, but now I'm armed with that information and I know how to avoid almost all of the pitfalls that would come up in any one of those scenarios where I have double the number of athletes that I have piece of equipment.
Yeah, and I think so long as you're kind of going in there with a plan, when things like 10 more people show up, you're better suited. It's no different than a lesson plan, right? You have your lesson plan, and when you realize, okay, I'm going to have to make a change because my progression went too long, you have something there. You have your drop dead start time. You have other factors that you can easily consider. Same holds true for this. And like you said, whether or not even if your gym is really successful, it could be more successful if you're capping that class. And if I can get 2 more people coming to the 5 p.m. or the 5 a.m., which, typically your busiest classes of the day, why would I not try to accommodate them? And I can tell you another thing about it, the energy in that, yes, 54 people was crazy, but that energy was like through the roof. And you don't get that when you cap classes at 8 people. It's just impossible to replicate.
And even if you are capping at 15 and you're turning people away, I would still have issues with that. Like, listen, I've run everything from 0 people classes to high 30s in my facility. And I'll take the high 30s every day of the week, man. Like all the time. Not because it's more money, but because the energy in there's so much better, And I think there's a lot of ways to solve that. Like there's certain people that might use barbells and certain people that might not, right? Like all of these problems, if you and I were to sit down and come up with like, hey, what were all the things that would go wrong if 30 people showed up to this class? It wouldn't take us more than 5 minutes to come up with solutions for all of those problems. And that's where I want people to move to. Like, again, it's not a heavy lift. People have solved, more complex problems than what would I do if more people showed up than I had rowers. Like, that's not, like, we're not solving the theory of relativity here. So put some thought into that.
During that class. I was like,
yeah.
I would give up, and I was just like, I'm working on science.
Burns got it. And that's my point, right? Is that like you can still give a good experience, and ultimately CrossFit is safe. As long as people aren't doing anything ridiculously stupid. And even in 54 people, it was not hard, I would tell you, for us to pick out something that would be going terribly wrong with regard to a deadlift or something like that. I was not worried about not being able to catch somebody lifting with atrocious technique. Like I wasn't concerned about it.
Yeah, and I think, like you said, we happen to have experienced people in there, but even with 54 people saying 8, was 1 minute intervals. So at most 18 people moving within a minute. Now, if your classes are that busy, you're probably bringing on a second coach, maybe even a third coach. So at most, you and I were each looking at about 9 people, which is totally possible within that time. And I'll tell you, there are other things we could have done to make that bigger class even smaller. We could have broken it up every 30 seconds, right? So now we've got 9 only moving staggering by 30 seconds. There was quite a few other things we could have done had we wanted to make it a little bit easier to see more people.
Yeah, I think for the record, I think we ran a couple minutes over, like 3 minutes over, something like that. Like
We did run over, but I also think just giving credit to the affiliate, meaning the actual, the affiliate that we coached at, they were, having people sign waivers. People were rolling in from watching the CrossFit game. So we didn't get a fair shake at starting on time either.
But just to call it out, just like we, because that's what somebody would be like, hey, you shouldn't have waited for them, which it was. And then we were making changes on the fly because people were rolling in after we had started, and it's fine. And even all that considered, I would consider that a success. You run 3 minutes over on the class and 54 people in a 2,200 square foot spot. But the other thing to think about there is like what we're doing right now, which is you should do an after action report and talk about it. Like, hey, what happened here? That's how you get better at anything. Hey, let's talk about it. Like, what could we have done better? Like, could we have changed the programming in a different manner to make it work?
Well,
which is,
I'll tell you,
go ahead.
One thing that couldn't have gotten better, and that was the music. The music was dialed in, Fern. Like, the music was perfect.
Well,
let's give that a level 4,
which
L4 music.
Yeah, which is precisely why there was no coaching happening wherever you were at, because you were doing Jay's best mixtapes of '99.
80s rock, 90s hip hop, back and forth. People came up to me after class and said, that was the best music I've ever heard.
You're like, I don't know if you know shit about deadlifts, but you, sir, have a second career in DJing at night.
And I'm gonna this is the pro tip, and I know we're joking about music, but when you have interval or you have Tabata, it does improve the energy when you change the song on the interval. Like, it just gets a new beat going, and more people get to hear something. I'm sure not everyone loved Def Leppard or Guns N' Roses, but those people that didn't like that probably liked when Biggie came on or Eminem, right? So you're just getting a little more variety. But, keeping that, I think for both of us, at one point, we're just like, man, it's a lot of people. Let's just like we coach. I want everyone leaving here saying, like, that was the best hour of my day. That was just so much freaking fun.
Well, I'm giving you a hard time about the music, but if you have 2 people on the floor, that is appropriate. Like, one of you has a primary focus, and yours is like, all right, I'm gonna bring the heat here on this playlist to keep the energy high. And I was like, cool, then I'm gonna hustle and I'm gonna make people move, and that's fine. And that's how a good tag teaming of a class should work. Like, if we're both focused on the same thing, then something's being dropped. And if you're like, hey, take care of that, like, make sure that the clock goes off the way that it should, make sure the playlist is good. And when you can, sprinkle in, coaching in between that intermittently, because there's 2 of us on the floor. That's 4 eyes. And we know where the bulk of our, correction or potential safety hazards are going to be on the deadlift. And I only have so many people doing that at any given time. Well, that limits the number of things that I have that could be concerning, in air quotes, in that class, which is like, not everybody's deadlifting at the same time.
Yeah. And also keep in mind this, if this were my affiliate, maybe the music would be on my phone or something I can move around with, right? We show up there, the music was stationary, meaning it was at the front of the room. So a workout like that with you can hear it in the show itself. Fern's losing his voice as the episode's going on because we're screaming over the music. So I was trying to go up in intervals, always like turn the music down, because Fern was making coaching points in there, for example, teaching people how to get the calories rolling on the bike real fast. So even in a very busy class, we were still trying to throw that coaching out there, but the music did need to be adjusted to accommodate that.
Yeah. And I think the big takeaway is this, like, we hope that was, an example of like how you should try to stretch yourself as a coach. Like, that's on the far end for, what I think any 2 reasonable people could facilitate in a class. And do I think we did an adequate job? I think we did an adequate job given the constraints. Could there have been things better? 100%. Like, I think we could have timed things a little bit better. I think we could have been a little bit more organized. Like, again, not our facility, not our athletes, not our programming. Also, nobody gives a shit. So you got to go out there and you got to give people a good experience, and you got to make sure that you have your stuff dialed in and that you're ready for those scenarios. And I think that's really what I want the takeaway to be, is like, it's not about the programming. Change the programming if it doesn't make sense. We changed that programming that day. And for the record, Mike and JP were like, we don't care, there's a million people showing up, do whatever you want. And I was like, well, we're going to try to stay as true to it as possible, but it's not about the programming. Deviating from that programming, whatever you're on, if you're on Olympic lifting cycle or whatever, is not going to make or break somebody's progression through their fitness journey because you change it because the class was a little bit more crowded. It doesn't matter.
There was a lot of unique circumstances. Another one being this was a 30-minute workout. Even if we had done it individually,
that's another
right?
monkey wrench on there. They're like 30 minutes for 54, a 30-minute EMOM, which means like we have no time to do anything.
If this were Fran, we would have ran 3 heats in that same hour. But this
For
was
sure.
literally a 30-minute workout. So, while we stretched that hour, part of it, like even our drop dead start time, like would have had to be at like 25, which would have been super tight. And you said earlier, yeah, we could have started class anyway. If this were our affiliate, yes. But this was a different situation where, people were coming in from watching the games. They were on vacation, out of town. We didn't want to tell someone, hey, you're 5 minutes late. You don't get to, which you shouldn't do at your box either.
Correct.
But, and then it was just so busy that it would have been impossible to get them warmed up. So, and meanwhile, while we were kind of delaying class, we were socializing, we were talking, and I don't think anyone even realized we were kind of filibustering to start class a little bit later.
To be very frank with you, I was quite frankly shocked that we were only a handful of minutes over. I was like, this is going to go way over. And we were really pushing the threshold for running anything that would resemble, an efficiently run class. But here's a big takeaway. You should be stretching yourself as an affiliate. And if you're arbitrarily capping your classes, I hope that was an example of many reasons why it's not necessary. It's not necessary to do so, particularly if your affiliate is not in the position that you want it to be in. Then you need to remove that arbitrary governor off of the engine so that you can put more bodies in there, stretch your abilities as a coach. Because if you never do that, number one, you're never going to be able to facilitate more athletes. And your coaching, I can tell you exactly where your coaching skills are going to get tapped out. And again, like if you're trying to grow to a large affiliate or whatever large means to you, you're going to need some of those skills. And I hope that was an example. And I hope people look at that and they're like, oh shit, like you can do this, and there have been other changes that I would have made to that if that was mine and we had more time and a little bit more, information prior to going into the class. Maybe not even use deadlifts, right? Like maybe,
sure,
change the movements altogether. So that, if I was gonna critique us specifically on that class, like with a little bit more time, I probably would have changed the workout even more.
Yeah, we could have done. We could have made it a 4-person group, right, and stretched the
potentially the format,
duration,
right. Something along those lines. But like that being said, we were not anticipating, like I think on the high end, I was anticipating like 30 and I was like, okay. And then we went 24 over that. Essentially it was like a whole nother class on top of that class is what we ended up with. As an affiliate owner, you're not going to deal with that. And if you are, fantastic. Things are probably going really well. But most of you won't deal with something that extreme. And that was something, I hope it was like at least a rough demonstration of like, it is a solvable problem. And it is a solvable problem that is something that you should be shooting for instead of being rigid to your programming or rigid to your cap class, because the energy in there was amazing. Like there's a lot of connection in there. Was it a tough class to coach? Absolutely. Well, guess what? That's your job. Like that's what you should be doing.
And you know what I was thinking? It's not that unusual, right? If you run what I recommend for like Memorial Day or Christmas Eve, like one big class, it's not unrealistic to think I'm going to have 54 people showing up for Murph this year. Right now, granted, all you need is a pull-up bar, but still you need to, herd those cats to get them ready. So kind of like you said earlier, we fail at the margins of our experiences. If you've never coached a 54-person class, you've never done it. And I think both you and I weren't really intimidated by that number for that reason. That wasn't the biggest class I've ever coached, nor probably for you either, right? The biggest class of strangers, certainly. But you and I have also worked hundreds of seminars where both at level 1s and level 2s, we coach strangers, at intensity, within meeting them for a few hours. So I think that's a big part of it as well. having the skill and the ability and wherewithal to be able to look at someone and, I mean, I think both you and I could have prescribed 54 different loads for the deadlift within a few minutes, even though most of them were, doing a good job scaling themselves, but it would have been very quick and easy to do. And I think if I remember correctly, there were quite a few people that we told to go up or down in weight during the workout, which is something I think a lot of coaches fail to do. Like, don't be afraid to be like, hey, strip off 5, strip off 10s, or add more.
Yeah,
if
I mean,
you're
I
not getting
made at least a half a dozen changes in both directions in that. And because remember, the other thing we have to take into account is like it was a heavy I don't remember what the prescribed weight on there, but it was heavy. It was like
I think it was 315. I want to say
it was heavy, right? So, and again, nothing wrong with heavy deadlifts, but there's 3 people on that bar, which 315 might be appropriate for some, but not for the other 2 to 3 people in that group. So that was an additional kind of wrinkle that was thrown in there, which we had to manage, was just safety, make sure that that weight is off the floor and that we're kind of managing it as best we can. How do we set up the weight changes, which is like, don't take those collars off, just throw the weights on the outside and move on. Like, you don't need to do that whole rigmarole. And I told many people that I'm like, stop doing that. Just throw those on the outside of the clips and then rip them off. It's a waste of time.
So let's think of maybe 1 or 2 things we would have done differently. I mean, some of it logistically just impossible, but I wouldn't have been opposed to 54 people again. It would have been nice had we known that ahead of time. Like you said, a lot of things, it could have been something as simple as like, let's take out 18 bars and just put them on the floor so spacing is all set, right? Little stuff like that
Right.
we could have changed. I think if I remember to that class, the other small tweak I would have made is I think we warmed them up for quite some time, and I probably would have gotten right into it. 10 rounds, I would have said, hey, take the first 3 or 4 rounds and just slowly build up, and let's get 5 or 6 heavy sets. I mean, 30 reps at 315 is a lot anyway.
Right.
So maybe, instead of 30, it's 15 reps. And, that way we could have gotten to it a little bit quicker. But outside of that, I don't think much was, there's much more that we could have controlled.
Well, actually, now that I'm thinking about this, I forgot about this. As we were working through, I had originally changed the workout to do 8 rounds. And then and then everybody was like, let's just do 10. I was like, all right. And then we just put them back in on the fly. And
you changed it, and then we changed it back on the board. And then we changed
it back because people were like, is it 8 rounds or 10? I'm like, do you guys want to do 10? They're like, we want to do 10. And I was like, fuck it, we're doing 10, And
to be clear, we asked JP and Mike, like, what was next? Because there was classes and then lectures. There was a lecture coming up next, and we knew we'd be out of the way. So if that were a normal class and I had a 11 a.m. following it, I might have said, hey, we are capping it at 8 rounds rather than pushing into the next class. So, making that adjustment on the fly and 2 rounds all that would have done is made them go harder for the 7th and 8th round.
Right. So, I mean, those are the big things. But again, the point is like, we can be critical of ourselves, and we should be, and we are. But the point is, even that being said, you should push your margins as a coach, just like you would push your margins as an athlete. You should push the margins of your affiliate. You should not arbitrarily just slow down for the sake of doing it perfectly, because you're never going to advance in anything if that's the case all the time. So I think, I just hope this was people are looking at that. They're like, oh, it is possible, right? That's what I hope people are looking at. That is absolutely possible. It is possible to put 54 people on the floor in a 2,200 square foot space for a class. Like, that is a thing that can be done in a 30-minute AMRAP with deadlifts in it, like heavy deadlifts.
A day or 2 later, we've already put this episode out there, but if you watch us working out with the CEO in Coach B's class, there might not have been 50, but there's probably a solid 30
easily
plus
30
in that class.
Easily.
And we're doing Olympic lifts.
Right.
So again, you've got an experienced coach. I mean, they don't get any older. I mean, any more experienced than Coach B, but it's just a matter of that's where, people always question like the 6 criteria of effective coaching, group management. That's that piece, and presence and attitude. I mean, when Coach B is talking, you're listening. So you're paying attention, you're doing what you're told. And again, he had a second coach and Arthur, walking around as well. But, we're talking a deadlift, assault bike, Metcon, then an Olympic lifting complex. If this were a workout like Fran, we're like, man, we just truly don't have enough pull-ups bars. Cool. This is where, hey, dial in that whiteboard brief, get everybody under 7 minutes. You can run 3 heats.
Right. So
lots of ways to skin that cat. Point is, I think Fern nailed it earlier. go back and revisit it. Debrief yourself, give yourself feedback, which, by the way, we talked about at length in person also, because then we coached that class 2 more times, and the next 2 classes ended, on time, ran smoothly because of what we learned in that first class.
Right. And I think that's the natural progression of anybody coaching an affiliate.
So hope you enjoyed the episode. Hope you enjoyed this little recap. We want to give another shout out to JP and Mike for doing a spectacular job at the affiliate in Madison at the 2022 CrossFit Games. I'm sure they're going to be back next year. Fern and I will be a big presence there again, even bigger than we were this year. Fern had some great seminars going on. Much of that content will be coming out in the near future, as well as additional content from the CrossFit Games. So if we didn't see you there this year, we hope to see you there next year. But again, like Fern said, don't limit yourself, challenge yourself. We fail at the margins of our experiences. And if you want your gym to grow and be better, you have to challenge yourself.
We appreciate you choosing to have us help you in your passion for coaching and affiliate ownership. If you're interested in learning more, you can reach out to us on any social media platforms, or you can visit www.besthouroftheirday.com to book a call. If you found this episode helpful for you, please share it so that we can help other coaches and affiliate owners to help build a bigger and stronger CrossFit community.